ESPN has finally broken my brain, so it's time to unveil our new segment.
Get stupid. Huh. Oh my God, this is stupid.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal on this new show, my show, Stephen B. Smith, Greatest Takes on the Universe, and this is the deal. We're going to look at all the takes that are awesome, that are mine, about this league. All right, let's go, okay? Let's go. Now, I know that all of you probably disagree with me, especially this person, vigilante shit. Why are you starting Justin Fields? I mean, you have Russell Wilson right behind him, the god of football. Patrick Mahomes doesn't have anything on him. Dak, no, you have Russell Wilson, but he's not on your bench. He's not backing up Justin Fields. No, it is Deshaun Watson. Why is Deshaun Watson on your bench? He may not be able to rub or tug or apparently run, but he can throw the football. And the Browns really like to run the ball. So, maybe just my opinion, the best opinion, put him in. My second take is on this team, or supposed team, You're Next. Now, here's a guy who's 1-4, not great, terrible coach, terrible manager. Why? Because he hasn't been putting in Daniel Jones from the get-go. Daniel Jones, the trust has been put on him from the Giants organization, but for some reason, You're Next puts no trust. Patrick Mahomes is the starter. Why? Why is he the starter? We don't know. Go the Giants route. You're Next. Come on, man. This is why you're 1-4. Daniel Jones beat the Hawks last week, and the Seahawks are one of the greatest teams in the NFL. Follow the lead of Dable and just sign that contract to Daniel Jones as your starter. Screw Patrick Mahomes. Now, my last take is on a team, and you know the team. It's Coleman's crazy team, but not a great name, not my favorite. Maybe it's his, who knows, but whatever, because he is the genius of this league. He has put his faith in the Cowboys. Screw any trading of CD or Dak. We want to keep him. And here's the deal. I love the Cowboys. Stephen B. Smith loves Cowboys. You know it. And this team, Coleman's crazy team, he loves the Cowboys. He trusts the Cowboys. Cowboys are winning the Super Bowl this year. We dem boys. Coleman, da boy. That is my take. My 3 takes, the best takes, Stephen B. takes. Yeah, my show, my choice, my rules. Coleman crazy team, great. As exhausting as that segment was, it was still better than most of his segments in real life. All right, let's move on to the standings. In our first game of the week from last week, OnlyFans dominated Pac-2 Idaho.
Prison tip number 75. Don't drop the soap.
And Pac-2 Idaho dropped the soap. OnlyFans took advantage from behind and came back with a thrilling victory, 119-78. With that win, it puts OnlyFans in the number 1 spot yet again with a 4-1 record. Let's see how the other teams in this division fared. In the divisional matchup, we had No Limits taking on David's dazzling team, and No Limits scorched the competition, sending David into a death spiral, sending both of them to a 2-3 record. That brings us to Rams Nation, who is choked out by the Cleveland Choker.
That's it, boy. Get in there nice and deep like.
That must have just been a sad, pathetic, embarrassing loss. Oh well, good luck this week. In our other game of the week, Machismo took down the Plowboys 112-69. On a side note, his son, I don't know who he is, but his son apparently forgot to put in the players that should have played, and he still would have lost. So congratulations to Machismo. Machismo may have had a great victory, but he did not get moved up in the rankings at all. He sits just above Coleman's Choice team with a win and a ton of points. Still sits in the bottom spot of the division. Cleveland Choker still remains atop with Wallowwood Champions really close behind. The Plowboys, on the other hand, took a huge tumble, and they now sit at the bottom of the division. Pack 2 Idaho is just barely ahead, and Topeka, I've Got It, and Vigilante Shit are atop the division. Topeka, I've Got It, sitting at that number 2 spot, so he is close to being that number 1 contender. This takes us to our live view of the Game of the Week. After a Thursday game, Wallowwood Champion sits atop with 13 points in the column against Topeka, I've Got It. Wallowwood Champions is the number 5, and Topeka, I've Got It is the number 2. Topeka, I've Got It wants to remain number 2 and potentially overtake OnlyFans and get that number 1 position. But Wallowwood Champions, who is in a tough division, wants to catch up to Cleveland Choker. A loss here will just make that even harder, but a win could set him atop of the league rankings into that 3 or 2 spot. Who can pull off the victory in this game's Game of the Week? In our not quite Game of the Week, we have Hawk Tua jumping ahead 16 points against the Cheeseballers. This game is early in the season, but somewhat pivotal as both teams are on that playoff bubble. Cheeseballers ranks at 8, just slipping into the playoffs if it were to end today. And Hawk Tua sits at 10, just outside. So a win here can mean everything by the end of the season. Who can come out on top? Let's take a look at their division standings.
Are you all standing in your pajamas? No, don't tell me. Oh, I know. You're throwing a slumber party. Pillified now!
What could be called the equivalent of the NFC West? We have the Dish Served Cold division, where everyone seems to be terrible this year. Cheeseballers leads the number 1 spot of the division with a 2-3 record, sitting at that number 8 spot. He's followed by Hawk Tua, sitting at 2-3 as well. Your Next and Coconut's Revenge, rounding out the bottom with the number 15 and number 16 spot. Can the fantasy god help them at all? Let's finish up this week's Sports Desk, taking a look at a Saturday night view of this week's matchups. Leading off our matchups, we have the Cleveland Choker up by 8 on Your Next, but with projections down, the lead is a little bit slimmer. Following that, we have the Wallowwood Champions 13 up on Topeka, I've Got It, in a crucial Game of the Week matchup. The next 2 matchups are divisional matchups, with No Limits taking on OnlyFans. No Limits up 6, but projections are terrible. It looks like OnlyFans will retain that number 1 position unless a miracle happens. Then in the next matchup, we have Vigilante Shit taking on Pack 2 Idaho, and Vigilante Shit pushing a big pointage at 20 points, pushing the projections up to 109. Pack 2 Idaho at 21, but projections down. It looks like Vigilante Shit will take the matchup this week. Going to the other side, we have the number 4 Rams Nation taking on the number 13 David's Dazzling Team. David's Dazzling Team is up 42 points, but projections down. But Rams Nation's whole team is pretty much on a bye week, so he has people in which he doesn't even know the name of taking on this week. So he sits at 0 points with a projection of 71. Ouch. Coconut's Revenge, sitting at the 16th spot, is up 20 points on the Plowboys. He's up on his projections, but he's still down by 20 in them against the Plowboys. Both teams need a win, but it seems like Coconut's Revenge needs that win just so much more bad. Can he take it? Also, on a side note, the Plowboy's son did fix the lineup this week, so he's all set and cannot be blamed for any mishaps. In our not quite Game of the Week, we have Hawk Tua up 16, almost 17 points on the Cheeseballers, who can take out the win and get to that playoff bubble before it pops. And then in the last matchup, we have Machismo, who came out of a win of the Game of the Week last week, taking on Coleman's Crazy Team. Coleman's Crazy Team is scratching their way to the top of the division, even though they're still sitting in last. They are a dangerous team, bouncing back to 2 wins on the season. Can they get their 3rd and get back to 500? thank you all for watching this week's edition of Sports Desk. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys have some luck in this week's matchup, except of course my opponent, because I like to win, and sitting at 5-1 would be really nice. So screw you, whoever I'm playing. I already forgot. Anyway, good luck to all. Enjoy the London game tomorrow. That is an early game, so wake up early, look at your lineups, and have some fun. All right, catch you at the next Sports Desk.